Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is BJ Tutor, and in this video let us solve question number 5, 6 and question number 7. So students, let us read question number 5, and it says the teacher distributes 5 pencils per student. So it means that there is a teacher and this teacher distributes how many pencils? 5 pencils per student. Understood? Then it further says, can you tell how many pencils are needed given the number of students? So the question is asking us to find the number of pencils needed to be distributed among those students present in the class given the number of students. That means in the question they will be giving us the number of students and our job is to find the required number of pencils. Say for example in the question they have given us that one student gets how many pencils? 5 pencils. Right? 5 pencils. Then what about, let's say if there are 5 students. How many pencils are required if there are 5 students? This is very simple, right? This 5 will be multiplied by the number of students. That is 5. And what is 5 times of 5? Yes. So the required number of pencil for 5 students will be 25. And this is how we are going to find. Right? But here in the question, they ask us to use, what did they ask us? They asked us to use S. That means the variable S for the number of students. So the number of students in that class will be taken as S. And we are going to find the number of pencils required. Right? So instead of this 5, we are going to take the number of students as, yes, the variable S. And what will be our answer? Same thing. This 5 will be multiplied by the number of students. Right? The number of students is the variable S. So 5 into S. Or simply we can write 5S. So this is our final answer. 5S. Understood? So let's write the answer. So students, let us write the solution for question number 5. So our first step will be number of pencils is student got equals to how many pencils is student got? Yes, 5 pencils. Right? Then next we have to write the number of students. Number of students is equals to, and in the question they ask us to take the number of students as, yes, the variable S. So therefore the required number of pencils for how many students? S students. For S students equals to, remember, number of pencil each student got was how many? 5. So this 5 will be multiplied by the number of students. And the number of students is the variable X. So 5 into S. Or simply we can write 5S. Understood? Okay, let's read our next question. Next student, let us read our next question. That is question number 6. And it says, a bird flies 1 kilometer in 1 minute. So it means that there's a bird and the speed of the bird is 1 kilometer per minute. In 1 minute means per minute. Then it further says, can you express the distance covered by the bird in terms of its flying time in minutes. So the question is asking us to find the distance covered by the bird. Understood? This total distance covered by the bird. And they further ask us to use t, the variable t, for flying time in minutes. So time taken by the bird will be the variable t. Understood? We cannot use any other variable. We have to use the variable t, which is given in the question. And the speed of the bird is 1 kilometer per minute. And what we need to find is, we need to find the total distance covered by the bird. Understood? So before we solve this question, before we write the answer, there is one very popular formula that we must know. And that formula is, distance is given by, distance equals to speed into time. We have to use this formula, a very popular formula. Understood? So the question asks us to find the distance covered, right? The distance covered. And what do we have here? Speed. So what is the speed of the bird? It is given by 1 kilometer per minute, means 1 kilometer. And time. So where is the time here? The question asks us to use t, right? For the time taken. So t. That means 1 multiplied by t is t. And what is the unit here? Yes, kilometer. T kilometer. And this is how we are going to solve this question. So let's write the answer in statement. So students, let's write the answer for question number 6. So the first statement will be speed of the bird. Speed of the bird. Speed of the bird. So what is the speed of the bird? It is given as 1 kilometer per minute, right? 1 kilometer per minute. Then next, what we have to write is the time taken. Time taken. And in the question, they ask us to use the time taken as, yes, the variable t. So therefore, the total distance covered by the bird, the total distance covered by the bird will be given by, remember the formula, distance equals to speed into time. The speed is given here, 1 kilometer into time. Time is given as, the time taken is t. So t. So 1 times t is t. So the final answer will be t. And the unit is kilometer. T kilometer. Understood? Let's solve our next question. Next students, let us read question number 7. So it says, Radha is drawing a dot rangoli with chalk powder. So there is a girl named Radha and she is drawing a dot rangoli. So we all know what rangoli is, right? It is a colorful design that we used to make on the floor during festivals, right? So our friend Radha is drawing a dot rangoli using chalk powder. Then it says C. C means our friend Radha. She has 9 dots in a row. So in her rangoli, in one row, our friend Radha has how many dots? 9 dots. 9 dots in one row. And it further asks us to find how many dots will her rangoli have for r rows. So instead of one row, if there are rows, how many dots will be there? Understood? This is our first question. Then, how many dots are there if there are? Then, how many rows? 8 rows. So instead of r rows, if there are 8 rows, how many dots will be there if there are 8 rows? Understood? If there are 8 rows. And if there are 10 rows, and if we had another, let's say 10 rows, how many dots will be there in 10 rows? So these are the question. First, we have to find the number of dots in r rows. Then we have to find the number of dots in how many rows? 8 rows. And lastly, we have to find the number of dots in how many rows? 10 rows. So that means that in the question, they are asking us how many questions? 3 questions. So we will have how many solutions? 3 solutions. So before we solve the answer, let me tell you one thing. In the question, it says that in our friend Radha's Rangoli, in one row, there are how many dots? 9 dots. Right? So, and the question, they ask us to find 4 r rows. So think if there are, let's say, 2 rows. If there are 2 rows, how many dots will be there in 2 rows? It is very simple, right? This 9 will be multiplied by the number of rows. That is 2. And 9 2 are 18. It's very simple, right? So in the question, instead of 2 rows, they are asking us to find for how many rows? Yes, for r rows. So this 9 will be multiplied by the number of rows, and that is r. So 9 into r, or simply we can say 9r. So this will be our first answer. Next, how many dots are there if there are how many rows? 8 rows. So next, instead of r rows, we have to take how many rows? 8 rows. 8 rows. So that means that the number of dots present in one row, that is 9, will be multiplied by the number of rows, that is 8. So what is 9 times of 8? 9 8 are? Yes, 72. So our second answer will be 72. And our final question is, they ask us to find how many dots will be there in how many rows? 10 rows. So instead of 8, this time we have to take how many rows? Yes, 10 rows. So for 10 rows, 9 will be multiplied by the number of rows, that is 10. So 9 times of 10, or 9 10 are? Yes, 90. So these are our answers. Understood? This is how we are going to solve this question. So let's write the answer. So students, let's write our first statement. So our first statement will be number of dots in one row. In one row. So how many dots are there in one row? Yes, it's given in the question. 9. Number of dots in one row is given as 9. Then number of rows. Number of rows. So in the first question, they ask us to find the number of dots for how many rows? Yes, r rows. So therefore, the total number of dots for r rows equals to, we all know that this 9 will be multiplied by the number of rows, that is r. So what is 9 times r? Yes, it is 9r. Understood? Next, we have to find for how many rows? Yes, instead of r, next we have to find for 8 rows. So after this, what we have to do is, we have to write, so for me, I will continue writing here. We have to write, after this 9 here, next statement will be again, number of rows. Number of rows equals to, and instead of r, this time we have to take, yes, number of rows as 8. So again, therefore, the total number of dots, number of dots for how many rows? 8 rows. For 8 rows will be given by 9 will be multiplied by the number of rows, that is 8. So what is 9 times 8? Yes, 72. Understood? This is our second answer. Now we have one more answer, right? So this time, instead of 8 rows, we have to take how many rows? Yes, 10 rows. So after this statement, next we have to write n. Number of rows, this time we have to take 10. So therefore, total number of those 4, instead of 8, we have to write, yes, 10 rows. So our answer will be, instead of 8, 9 will be multiplied by the number of rows, that is 10. So what is 9 times 10? Yes, 9 10 are 90. Understood, student? So that's it for today in this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. And if you did, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my channel. I will see you all in the next video. Stay safe, everyone. Take care.